Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Inshallah, today I'm going to be going through a couple clips where God Logic had a discussion with some of the brothers, including Hamza Ramzi and the Muslim Cowboy. Inshallah, I think some things need some clarifying and doubling down in this video where we show just how ignorant God Logic is.
What you have done is you have shown that Ibn Abi Hatim and Wahb bin Munabi contradict each other. Wahb bin Munabi is very clear, ladies and gentlemen, and he read it, that none of Allah's books have been changed. They remain as Allah revealed them. That's what he says. And what he continues to say is, but they rely on books that they wrote themselves. So the Torah and the Gospel, according to Wahb bin Munabi, are unchanged. They haven't changed the actual books of Allah, but what they've done is they made books that they've made up themselves, and they claim it's the word of God. And what Ibn Abi Hatim says is that if Wahb bin Munabi is talking about the books that they have, then we should take the position that those actually are distorted and they've corrupted them. So he contradicts what Wahb bin Munabi says.
So just to clear up the Wahb bin Munabbih, may Allah be pleased with him, confusion. Well, firstly, the first view that Ibn Kathir writes, not Ibn Abi Hatim, which I will justify later on, as God Logic can't seem to read basic English. Well, the first opinion is that Wahb bin Munabbih possibly meant the books that were at the hands of Ibn Kathir, which would be the distorted, altered, and added to versions. Now, someone would just say that Wahb was possibly wrong, or Wahb maybe had a different book to what Ibn Kathir and us have. So, in this view, you can either say Wahb is erroneous in having this view, or you can say Wahb potentially had a different Torah and Injil. Both views are valid, however, I don't feel that they're tenable. The view personally that I hold to is that Wahb bin Munabbih, being a Jew, being someone who is a learned Jew at that, as Ibn Hajar says, as well as someone who is a student of Ibn Abbas, may Allah be pleased with him, I find it very hard to believe that he actually meant that there was a Torah and Injil present with him that was completely unaltered. So I take the second view that Ibn Kathir writes, which is that Wahb possibly meant the books of Allah that he has with him, which is obviously the preserved tablet. Now, the reason why I think that this view is a more preferred view is because I find it hard to believe that Wahb bin Munabbih, being a learned Jew, would believe that not just the Torah, but the Injil as well, not one letter had been distorted from it, and that is completely preserved in the hands of Wahb at his time. Despite us having good reasons to believe that the Torah and Injil at the time of Wahb bin Munabbih would have many contradictions that we couldn't find within the Quran. What makes more sense is that just as At-Tabari uses the same language, saying that the books of Allah cannot be distorted, and obviously At-Tabari believes that the Torah and Injil has been distorted. He lays this out very clearly in his tafsir. So there's a level of ambiguity here. So someone could possibly interpret Wahhab's words here, and I think it's the preferred view, because Ibn Abbas clearly believed in the distortion of the Torah and Injil, as well as the fact that Wahhab was a learned Jew who knew the Torah well. I think this is a more plausible view. However, both views are valid, inshallah.
Is you have shown that Ibn Abi Hatim and Wahb bin Munabi contradict each other. Wahb bin Munabi is very clear, ladies and gentlemen, and
because there's two ways you can look at the statement.
Here. Can you see my screen?
Yeah, I can see that.
Okay, just read from... Okay. Read this. And read that.
Yeah. وقال وهب ابن منبه إن التوراة والإنجيل كما أنزلهم الله تعالى لم يغير منها حرف ولكنهم يضلون بالتحريف والتأويل وكتب كانوا يكتبونها من عند أنفسهم ويقولون هو من عند الله وما هو من عند الله فأما كتب الله فإنها محفوظة لا تحول رواه ابن حاتم. قال ابن كثير.
Wait, stop there. So this is from Ibn Abi Hatim, right?
Ibn Munabbih, yeah. And that was narrated by Ibn Abi Hatim. All of that.
So he's just saying it's narrated by Ibn Abi Hatim.
Exactly, yeah.
And this is the statement of Wahb bin Munabbih.
Right.
And then
next paragraph.
Translate
Ibn Kathir said.
Ibn Kathir said. Did I read all of that?
فإن عنا وهب ما بأيديهم من ذلك فلا شك أنها قد دخلها التبديل والتحريف والزيادة والنقص.
That's pretty much what we just read from Quran.com here, right? However, if Wahab meant the books that are currently in the hands, etc., right? All the translations, misinterpretations. So this is a reference.
Wait, actually, this reminds me. What was the hadith number, Avery?
Wait, hold on.
What was the hadith number you were bringing us?
Let me address one thing at a time.
No, it's the same point.
Wait, stop, Hamza. Let me address Muslim Cowboy. Muslim Cowboy, you said
Yeah.
that he says that this is weak.
Yes, when he's
Where does
quoting
he say
Ibn
that?
Abbas in this,
Uh-huh.
Bukhari sometimes refers to weak hadith in chapter headings.
Where does he say
before
this
the
is
hadith
weak?
itself?
Where does he say this is a weak statement?
Here in the chapter heading.
So
this
he
is
says
a
this
weak statement.
Wait, just to be clear, you're saying in this statement he says this statement by Ibn Abbas is weak?
Yes.
Okay, can you show me? Can you highlight the part where it says it's weak?
Okay, Avery, you don't understand.
Okay, so there's a lot of things to unpack here within this hadith. The first point being that these words are disputed whether it's coming from Ibn Abbas or if it's coming from Bukhari. Now, personally, I believe it's coming from Ibn Abbas, but even that attribution to Ibn Abbas is mu'allaq. It doesn't have continuous transmission, as Ibn Hajar Asqalani says. Now, regardless of that, even if we grant these are Bukhari's words or Ibn Abbas's words, well, let's look at Bukhari's attitudes towards this statement. The first point would just be that he puts it under the chapter heading of Lawh al-Mahfuz. So the actual chapter heading is letting you know what is being discussed here. And what is being discussed here isn't the books in this life, but rather the books in the preserved tablet. Very similar to the quote we had before from Wahab bin Munabbih. May Allah be pleased with him. So knowing this now, we have a justification from one, the chapter heading, two, At-Tabari using similar language despite him believing in Tahrif at the time of the Prophet ﷺ, as well as us justifying before that Wahab's words could be interpreted as the preserved tablet. We have a good enough justification now to say that these words are not problematic, but rather it's referring to the preserved tablets. And this is all if I grant you that this is Ibn Abbas or Bukhari's words, which I don't even have to grant to begin with. But I'm just doing this to show that even if I was to grant it, your argument is still weak as ever.